Hi, I'm Grayson, and the musical tradition I chose is flamenco. So, some commentary, history, and origins. Flamenco song and dance have long been associated with Spain, but its roots are much more complex and multifaceted in terms of culture and origin. So, let me get into this. While Spain is considered flamenco's birthplace, this tradition is not solely Spanish. So, the Andalusian region, where flamenco is said to have developed, is in southern Spain, and southern Spain is an area that's really rich with diverse cultural influence. The Romani people, in particular, have a big presence in Andalusia and a lot of influence there. And flamenco is said to be a product of the Roma migration, or the migration of these Romani people from northern India to Spain. And with that, they brought, tambourines, bells, castanets, and their own songs and dances that eventually intermingled with the cultures of Spain to produce what we know now as flamenco. So, the traditional style of flamenco is a performance where music and dance are interwoven. They really go hand in hand with each other. It's not one without the other. And it involves polyrhythmic clapping, stomping, snapping, and also guitar playing, singing, and dancing. So, I'll get into this in more depth. So, the songs of flamenco. They typically associate with three categories: a cante hondo, a cante intermedio, and a cante chico. So the cante hondo means a deep song, and that's because it's meant to portray profound emotions. So many of the songs have to do with despair, loss, death, anguish, and in some contexts, religious doubt. It's also usually structured around a 12-beat complex rhythm. The cante intermedio means intermediate song, and this is more a relaxed mellow movement. It combines different styles of Spanish music into a hybrid song. The cante chico, it means light or young song. This has simpler rhythms, but deals with happier themes like love, humor, and cheerfulness. So these elements, along with different chord structures and musicality choices, are what distinguish the different styles of song within a flamenco performance. Now, the dances. So the dances of flamenco can be accompanied by the songs, or sometimes just the guitar and some form of percussion. And percussion usually can just be as simple as clapping and stomping from people. Sometimes they even, beat a stick on the floor for rhythm. But dancers will never go unaccompanied, and in a way, the dance itself procures musical accompaniment, its own musical accompaniment, through the rhythm that sounds from the heels of the dancers, like tap dance, and this is a very intentional part of the dancing. The dancers also act as characters, or protagonists within the narrative of songs, and they use their movements to create an interpretation of the music's story or theme. So dancers can relay specific stories or make their performance very personal. Male and female dancers also play different roles. So male dancers, they typically dance with very complex footwork, and their dancing is all about their legs and feet, whereas female dancers emphasize their arms and hands to dance, as well as their upper body. So the reason I chose this musical tradition is just to learn more about context of a genre that I really love, and I've also seen performed live in Spain, in Seville, which is in the Andalusia region in southern Spain, and I have some clips of this. It's really cool, so I'll play these first. Next. And the third one. So, okay, these clips are my recordings from Spain, and they all involve male performers. So, the dances, as you can see, display very intricate footwork, all about the footwork. And this footwork is what plays a big role in the rhythmic figures that the other performers clap and stomp to behind them. They all go hand in hand with each other. There's also a guitarist and a singer, although my clips don't show much of the singing except for this one, but they accompany the dancers. So my first clip, it shows a cante hondo, which has the most complexity in rhythm out of the 3 clips, and it has kind of a more serious and fiery demeanor coming from the dancer. He's like all stoic. Then this next clip is an intermedio, which is more laid back, especially rhythmically, and it also seems to incorporate some elements of fandango. So that would be the the fusion music type thing. Fandango, there's a lot of similar elements to flamenco, but one of the defining factors is that it's usually in a 3/4/6/8 meter, like this was. And the third clip is definitely the Cante Chico, which, can be seen by the big smile on all the performers' faces and the liveliness of the dancer. He was just, flying all over the stage. Now, these next clips I found online, and I wanted to look for a performance that involved some more instrumentals and a female dancer for some contrast. So, let me get some of these. So yeah, a lot more arm involvement in that one. And of course this one too. Yeah. So some differences. You can see how, these dancers' arms and upper body are much more involved in the dance. But, similar to the other clips, her footsteps still line up with the rhythms from the clappers and the stompers. And this time, in addition to a guitar, there's a violinist. And he's playing melodic lines, which, kind of gives the guitar a more rhythmic role. But what I love about this performance is that both the instrumentalist and dancer share the center stage, whereas a lot of other ones, the instrumentalists are in the background. So, flamenco in context. Flamenco has proven to be socially significant for a variety of reasons and has made many different impressions to different people throughout history. So, for one, the fusion of culture associated with this tradition has made it a medium for expressing personal experiences, which can include struggles, joys, or everyday life. Today, flamenco is associated with a strong sense of Spanish identity, but it wasn't always perceived this way, which brings me to my next point. It acts as a form of resilience and resistance, because flamenco used to be considered a vulgar spectacle and has a shameful association with Spain. So Spanish elites believed that it hampered Spain's progress towards modernity, mostly because of its origins tied to the Romani people, who Spaniards referred to as gypsies and aimed to ostracize their culture from Spain. So, through this controversy, flamenco became a form of resistance against that oppression. But there are gruesome differences. In the late 19th century, the perception of flamenco it began to shift. So, as flamenco reached audiences beyond Spain. It became recognized by big name artists, even Debussy, who loved and spoke highly of it. So all these big name artists doing that quickly shifted this perspective of the Spaniards, and this elevated flamenco to become a high culture status type of art. Now that Spain has come to claim flamenco as a positive association with the country, and also makes a lot of money from it because tourists love flamenco, it raises a couple questions regarding identity and recognition. Like, why is flamenco so heavily affiliated with Spain, and is that exploitative of the Romani people? Or, has the Romani population in Andalusia, Spain, grown to identify with the nation, and we should consider them as such? Either way, flamenco deserves greater research, especially related to origins, and it has proven to be a major proponent of art and culture for Spain and beyond Spain as well. That's it.